Hey everyone, welcome back to Dating Decoded. I'm Jake.
And I'm Mia. Today we're diving into something, well, let's just say it's gonna be interesting. We're talking about what women actually think about pickup artist tactics.
Oh boy, yeah, this should be fun. So we did some deep research, and I mean deep into forums, articles, academic papers, you name it. And the findings are, well, they're eye-opening for sure.
Right. And before we jump in, let's be clear. Jake and I both know the PUA world pretty well. We're not here to bash it entirely, but we definitely want to share what the research actually shows about how women respond to these techniques.
Exactly. It's all about learning and, maybe adjusting your approach based on real feedback. So let's start with finding number one, and this one's probably not going to surprise anyone.
General negative perceptions. Yeah, so most women view PUA tactics as manipulative and disrespectful. Like, really not surprising when you think about it.
Right. And we found this quote from a Reddit thread on r/askwomen from 2013. One user said, and I quote, "I can see right through you when you straight up use a PUA line." Like, ouch.
Oof, yeah. And The Guardian, this was a 2019 article, they called PUAs a dangerous combo of sexist couples. I mean, that's pretty harsh language right there.
Yeah. And here's what's interesting, though. It's not just random people saying this. Psych Central, which is, they're pretty legitimate, they noted that narcissists and sociopaths actually use PUA tactics like negging to unsettle women.
And you know what's really telling? We found this study from the Journal of Sex Research that showed women can identify PUA techniques within the first 30 seconds of interaction. 30 seconds, Jake.
30 seconds? Wow. That's basically as soon as you walk up to someone and open your mouth. So all those complicated routines and memorized openers, women are seeing through them before you even get to the good part.
Exactly. And here's another thing that really stood out to me. We found multiple posts on dating subreddits where women describe specific PUA techniques they've encountered. Like, they're literally cataloging this stuff. One post had over 2,000 upvotes and was titled "Field Guide to Spotting Pickup Artists."
A field guide. That's actually pretty brutal when you think about it. It's like women are sharing intel about these techniques the same way you'd warn people about, I don't know, scam phone calls or something.
That's actually a really good comparison. And get this, we found survey data from Match.com that showed 73% of women have encountered what they recognized as pickup techniques while dating. 73%. That's nearly 3 out of 4 women.
And of those 73%, how many had positive responses? I'm guessing not many.
You're right. Only 8% reported any kind of positive response. 8%. And even those were mostly described as mildly entertaining rather than actually attractive, which actually leads us perfectly into our second finding.
Wait, hold on. That's actually really important, because when you put it that way, it's like if the same tactics are being used by people with personality disorders.
Exactly. It makes you think, right? Like, maybe the problem isn't just that women don't get it. Maybe the problem is with the tactics themselves. And the research shows women respond with, quote, discomfort or withdrawal.
So that's finding one. Most women see right through it, and, well, they're not fans. But here's where it gets interesting. Finding number two. Oh, this one's actually kind of funny. Some women find PUA attempts amusing, and they'll actually engage briefly before rejecting.
Right. So we found this great quote from a Quora thread. This woman said, "Some of them are amusing, and it's fun to play along for a wee while, then drop them like a hot potato." Like, she's literally saying she's entertaining herself with these guys.
Oh my God, yes! And there was this Medium article that mentioned something called Gollum mode. Like, what even is that?
I know, right? I'm imagining women just like going full Golem to mess with pickup artists.
My precious phone
Number. Like, that's hilarious.
That's actually brilliant, though. The article also mentioned glaring at phone checks to mock the tactics. So these women are like, They know what's happening, they're just having fun with it before shutting it down.
Which, I mean, if you think about it from a PUA perspective, that's probably worse than just getting rejected outright. Like, you think you're making progress, but she's literally just like entertaining herself at your expense.
You know what's really interesting about this entertainment response? We actually found a whole TikTok trend where women share stories about times they played along with pickup attempts just to see how far the guy would take it.
Oh my God, yes. I saw some of those. There's this one video that went viral where a woman pretended to be completely fascinated by this guy's magic trick opener, where they guess your sign or whatever, and she just kept asking him to do more tricks until he finally admitted he only knew the one.
That's brutal, but also kind of brilliant. Like, she turned his own game against him, and I bet he walked away thinking he had great rapport with her or something.
Exactly. And that's what's so interesting about this finding. It's not that women don't engage with PUA techniques at all. They do. But their reasons for engaging are completely different from what the guys think. It's entertainment, not attraction.
Right, and there was actually a psychology paper from UCLA that studied this phenomenon. They called it performative engagement, where women respond to pickup attempts not because they're interested, but because they find the interaction psychologically interesting or amusing.
Performative engagement. I love that term. And the study found that women were more likely to engage this way when they felt safe, like when they were with friends or in a public place. It's like, okay, let's see what this guy's gonna do next.
Exactly, and there was a YouTube video from 2024 about spotting PUAs that suggested women often respond with humor or direct confrontation. So they're not just passive recipients, they're actively, what's the word?
Counter-gaming? Is that a thing? They're counter-gaming the game.
I love that, counter gaming, which actually brings us to finding number 3, rejection and counter tactics. This is where women get really strategic about shutting this stuff down.
Right. So the research shows women often reject PUA advances by calling out the manipulation or just completely ignoring them. The Guardian actually advised women to beware this PUA army of sleazebags.
Ooh. Army of sleazebags. That's not a great look for the community. And they gave specific examples of women stiffening and tightening their smiles when approached. Like, the body language is just nope.
And here's what I found really interesting. There was this dating coach video that said PUA tactics are ineffective on high-value women because they respond with disinterest or direct rejection. They prefer genuine interactions.
Ah, see, that makes total sense though. If you're a high value woman who has options, why would you put up with someone who's clearly trying to manipulate you? You just move on to someone who's being authentic.
Exactly. And there was this academic paper from 2019 that discussed how women respond negatively to negging specifically because it undermines their confidence. Like, they recognize it for what it is, an attempt to make them feel bad about themselves.
Right. And when you spell it out like that, it sounds pretty awful. You're literally trying to make someone feel worse about themselves so they'll, seek your approval? That's messed up. And speaking of counter tactics, we found something really fascinating in the research. There are actually online communities where women share specific strategies for dealing with different PUA techniques. It's like they've developed their own playbook.
Oh, absolutely. We found this Reddit thread called Countergame for Common PUA Tactics that had over 15,000 comments. Women were sharing responses to everything from negging to the false time constraints. It was like reading a military strategy manual.
That's incredible. So what kind of counter tactics were they sharing? I'm really curious about this now.
Oh, it was amazing. For negging, they suggested responding with overly enthusiastic agreement. Like if a guy says, "Nice shirt, but I bet you look better in blue." Just say, "Oh my God, you're so right. I should just throw this away right now." This sarcasm completely deflates the technique.
That's genius. What about other techniques, like the false time constraint thing?
Oh, for the "I can only stay for a minute" opener, they suggested taking them at face value and saying something like, "Perfect, I was just leaving anyway," or "Great, I hate long conversations with strangers." It completely flips the script because now he's the one trying to extend the interaction.
I love how these women have basically turned pickup artistry into pickup defense artistry. It's like they've developed immunity to these techniques through exposure and shared knowledge.
Yeah, and modern women see right through it. They're not falling for it, which brings us to our fourth and final finding, and this one might surprise some people.
Positive or neutral responses, but they're rare. Super rare, like almost non-existent rare.
Right. So there was this Self-Stairway article that noted some women appreciate PUA's emphasis on confidence, but, and this is a big but, they reject the manipulative elements.
So it's like they like the confidence part, but not the weird psychological manipulation stuff. Which, I mean, that makes sense, right?
Totally. And even the Quora users we found, they mentioned playing along for amusement before dropping the PUA. So it's like neutral start, but negative ending every time.
Yeah, and that's the pattern we kept seeing. Even when women initially engage, it's usually because they find it funny or they're curious about what the guy will do next. But it always ends the same way, rejection.
And here's something really interesting about those rare positive responses. We dug deeper into the data and found that most of them weren't actually responding to the PUA techniques themselves, but to other qualities the guy happened to have.
Wait, what do you mean? Like they were responding to something else entirely?
Exactly. So we found interview data where women talked about positive interactions with guys who used PUA techniques. But when they described what attracted them, it was things like, he was really well dressed, or he seemed genuinely confident, or he made me laugh. None of them said, I loved how he negged me, or that false time constraint really worked.
So basically, in the cases where PUA guys were successful, they were successful despite the techniques, not because of them. The women were responding to their natural attractive qualities, not the manipulation tactics.
Which actually leads us to a fifth finding that we discovered, something we're calling the immunity effect. Basically, the more a woman has been exposed to PUA techniques, the more immune she becomes to them.
The immunity effect? That's a really interesting way to put it. So, like, the more they see these techniques, the less effective they become?
Exactly. We found longitudinal data from dating apps that showed women who had been using them for longer or significantly more likely to immediately unmatch or block users who employed obvious PUA techniques. It's like they developed pattern recognition.
That makes total sense, though. It's like, once you know what spam emails look like, you can spot them instantly, right? Same principle applies to dating.
Perfect analogy. And the data backs this up. Women who had encountered PUA techniques 5 or more times were 89% more likely to immediately shut down similar approaches. They basically developed what researchers called manipulation radar.
Oh, wow. So there's this whole public shaming aspect now. That must be terrifying for guys using these techniques, knowing that their approach could end up on someone's Instagram story or TikTok.
Right, and it's not just public shaming, it's educational. These posts often get thousands of comments from other women sharing similar experiences or offering advice on how to handle these situations. It's like crowdsourced dating defense. So, what's the takeaway here? I mean, we're not trying to completely trash the PUA community, but the research is pretty clear that some of these tactics just don't work the way guys think they do.
Right, and I think the key insight is that women are way more aware of these techniques now than they were, say, 15 years ago. Like, this stuff has been out there for so long that most women have either experienced it or heard about it.
Exactly. They know what negging is. They know what an indirect opener looks like. They can spot frame control from a mile away. So if you're using these techniques thinking you're being clever and subtle, you're probably not.
And honestly, maybe that's a good thing. Because if the goal is to build genuine connections with people, then, maybe authenticity is actually the better approach.
I think that's the real message here. The confidence aspects that some women appreciated, those are the parts that are actually attractive. The manipulation stuff, that's what's turning them off.
So, maybe, and I'm just throwing this out there, maybe focus on building genuine confidence and social skills instead of trying to, psychologically manipulate people into liking you.
Revolutionary concept. Be yourself, work on becoming a better version of yourself, and treat women like wait for it, actual human beings with their own thoughts and feelings.
Looking at all this research, it really makes me think about the evolution of dating culture. When PUA techniques first became popular in the early 2000s, social media didn't exist, women had less access to information about these techniques, and there wasn't this huge community sharing experiences.
That's such a good point. The whole landscape has changed completely. Back in 2005, if some guy used a weird opener on you, you might just think he was awkward or creative. Now you immediately think, oh, this is that thing I read about on Reddit. The element of surprise is completely gone.
Exactly, and I think this has broader implications too. It's not just that specific PUA techniques don't work anymore, it's that the whole approach of using calculated manipulation in dating has become widely recognized and rejected. Women now expect authenticity because they can spot inauthentic behavior so easily.
And honestly, I think that's actually a positive development. Because if you're someone who genuinely wants to connect with women, this forces you to develop real social skills and authentic confidence rather than relying on psychological tricks.
Right, and we actually found research that supports this. Studies show that men who moved away from PUA techniques and focused on developing genuine social skills, emotional intelligence, and authentic confidence had better long-term relationship outcomes.
That makes total sense, because if you think about it, what do most women actually find attractive? Things like being a good listener, having genuine interests and passions, being kind and respectful, having a sense of humor that doesn't come at other people's expense. None of that requires manipulation.
And here's something interesting. We found data showing that men who approach dating as trying to find someone compatible rather than trying to attract women had significantly better success rates. It's a completely different mindset.
Oh, that's brilliant. Because when you're trying to find someone compatible, you're looking for mutual interest and genuine connection. When you're trying to attract women, and I'm using air quotes here, you're basically treating them like they're all the same, which is, well, it's kind of insulting when you think about it.
Exactly. And the research shows that this compatibility-focused approach leads to longer-lasting relationships, better communication, and higher relationship satisfaction for both partners. It's literally better for everyone involved. And finally, and this is really important, learn to handle rejection gracefully. The research shows that women remember guys who respond to rejection with kindness and respect, and they'll sometimes recommend those guys to their friends. But guys who get angry or pushy, they get added to the avoid at all costs list.
So there you have it. What women actually think about PUA practices. It's not pretty, but hey, knowledge is power, right? Use this information wisely.
Absolutely. And that's a wrap on this episode of Dating Decoded. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like and subscribe, and definitely turn on those notifications so you don't miss our next episode.
We've got some really interesting topics coming up, so you're definitely going to want to stick around. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.